Hello, guys, and welcome to the Midnight Coder, where we are breaking down the monolith. Alright, guys, for those of you that were with me all along, um, I gotta do a couple of small changes to our admin controller on the website service, as well as I've got to make a small change to the log service for. Sorry, my head is not exactly here with me today. If I seem a little spacey, I just got some personal shit going on, and I'm not all here. Um, so we got to make a change to our log controller so that we can add a better way to um, fetch a number or a string value, like a count, from our back end, as well as we need to make a change to our admin controller on our website service so that we can more appropriately um, because I've noticed that I'm just making a fetch. Let's just take a dive in here. Let's just dive on in. All right, so in here we've got our admin controller, and we're looking to pass in the amount of logs that we have in our database, which if you paid attention to last night's live stream, I had said that I was, whoa, what's going on? I had said that I was going to get a couple of my beta testers to run through and do some stuff to generate some logs so that I could have something to persist to the database. Um, well, luckily enough, I had a couple of people that were very much willing to run through and play the game and do a little logs. I also did a little login myself, and we added some logs to our database. So let's go ahead and bring up our local host. And we're going to log in, go to the admin dashboard. Look at that, there are 50 logs. That's not right. If I go into the actual logs, it still says that there's 50 and only it displays the first 50. You'll see that we're logging things such as unhandled actions, chat logs, disconnection logs, unhandled actions. Um, we're also doing commands, so if people were trying to do commands, I can see what time somebody did something, who did it, what they did. Well, they used a command, and they tried to do a few list of commands. Now, something like this is very helpful for me as a developer because it's going to help me um, figure out if people are typing a command for a certain reason. Like if there's a lot of people that are typing in something like help, or there's a lot of people that are typing in something like a command um, yell. I don't have a yell function, but like I have a different way to go about that. But if enough people are still using that way, I might notice that, hey, there's a pattern here. So I can set up some backlog analytics now that we have one service that's going to persist our data. I can then fire that because once we're able to stick Kafka in here, we're going to have a couple of services pulling from all of these queues. So we're going to eventually have an analytics service that's going to go ahead and pull a whole bunch of different services from there, and it's going to do things like analyze commands or like logs and see this and start to be able to bring me a bit of a um, an analytic in the sense of, again, if people are doing something like the commands, well then that's going to tell me like, okay, there's a good amount of people who are looking for a list of available commands to use in my game, so I might want to go ahead and add that. These logs are very valuable, and that they're going to give me and my team some very valuable information, because like we can come through, we'll be able to write, if we don't have it working now, but we'll be able to come up and go into the filter, and I'm going to have to add a log type into here, because right now I only have a way to check for a specific date, if it's a range of dates, or by a specific player. Um, but I need to add another filter for a way of filtering log types. And for those of you that are wondering, I am 100% not a front-end developer, so don't hate on my purple schema that's going on here. Um, I am going to actually, I do have a front-end developer who works on this project with me, and once he's finished with his hustle bustle of his life, I'm going to get him to give me help here, because I can do backends, networks, this, that, other things, software diagnostics. I can build scripts. I can do all sorts of things. Can't do front end. Can't do graphics. It's like asking me to repair your car. Ain't gonna happen. Not that good at it. I'm learning. I'm trying to learn. I'm not gonna lie, this video series is gonna be helping me myself learn a little bit more about the front end, because I'm not a front end guy. This is just purely me doing this with Java. There's not even any JavaScript in this. It's purely just Java. This is purely Java and HTML. And the only reason I'm using HTML is because Timeleaf allows me to have an HTML engine, and that allows me to do some pretty object-oriented magic. Like I can define a header or a footer, and then I can simply just tell a div to be replaced on every other folder, so that I'm not rewriting these massive chunks of code, because that's what I used to hate about web development, was you had these huge HTML files, and like it took so much to filter through and sort through and whatnot. But like, if you've been following this series, like you'll see that like we break things down into the content. There's headers, there's a footer, there's a page which contains a header and a footer, and then there's also a sidebar that is sidebars that are going to be on the left-hand panel, and then there's contents, which is going to be on the right-hand side of the page. And so far, I'm only building up the admin side, but these are the different admin pages that we have. So to jump into today's um, session here, we need to change up our controllers, our service log. I want to add a way in here to return a string. So I'm going to make a public string. Public string. This is going to be get log count, and in here I'm just we're just gonna simply come down here and yep, that's right, do that, so that now I can go into the server log controller, and where I have all, I can essentially copy paste this, get rid of the parameter, and we're just going to call this get log count. Get log count, return this, and we're going to say this is going to be a string and count. Perfect. So now we go back into our admin controller and log list. We're going to be changing this to just count. Count, and the body of this one is actually going to be just a straight up string dot class, and we're going to change this to a variable so that it's getting just the string, and then we're going to take this, and in our total logs we're going to drop it there. Perfect. So now that's going to get the count number. So if we were to rerun the website, as well as our logging service, if we were to, oops, I meant to rerun that and run, but apparently I reran that in debug, but whatever. We're gonna do it. Roll with it. I'm assuming our website tripped an error? No? Okay. So now we'll come back up here and we'll try to go to our website again. Log in. And this time when we go to the admin dashboard, we should see a lot more logs. There we go. So now we have 270. Why is that different? That is because of paging. Now, paging is, let's open up the logs, is this number. And I'll show you, we'll change that as well, because I'm pulling that from the same table. But paging is why this only lists so 50, as opposed to all 270, because that'd be a pretty big page. So instead, I want to have a page of 50, and then I want to stick a button that's just going to say next page, and it's going to get the next page of 50 results. Paging is how we make a request. Let's go back into our service here. So paging is a page request, and we're asking for which page we want, and if we're going to start our index at 0, like most things. But then we want to know, okay, so we want page 0, the very first page, and how big is that page? How many results are going to be in that page? 50. So now if we were to say page 1, which is the second page, this will return us with results 51 through 100. Now, I gotta run to the bathroom right quick. I'm very sorry, but I will be right back, guys. Alright, I do apologize about that. Um, so, for those, for those of you that follow this series when I live stream, you may notice a pattern that I run to the bathroom a lot. Share a little bit about myself. I am diabetic. Because of that, I have high sugars and high ketones all the time. I'm not very healthy about it. I've ignored it for years. I've suppressed it for years. But I essentially have nerve damage, and I've got a lot of other problems because of my diabetes, and which is one of the key reasons why I actually like remote work and I like software development so much, is that it gives me the freedom to do remote work and to work from home, where I don't have to I don't have to worry about all of my essentially medical issues while while doing my work, while doing what I do. Um, and if any of you are diabetic, you'll kind of understand that you sometimes have a lot of high sugars and ketones, and it makes you run to the bathroom quite a bit. Um, so I do apologize for those of you that have been following me and watching my videos, and you notice that I take these little breaks right quick in the live stream. Um, I do drink a lot of coffee. That is definitely not that's definitely not something that helps, but it's also a fact. Now, so now when we go to the proper logs here, we should be able to, if I rerun the website, we'll come back in here and we're going to be able to see total logs, and it's going to say 270 this time. We'll just wait till that runs back on and we'll give it a refresh. And she died. Right, okay, no. I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna take the log list. Select that. We're gonna duplicate this. And I'm just going to copy log list, go into our admin dashboard logs. Okay, let's give that a rerun and we'll try this again. Now, if you guys happen to notice that I kind of like bounce around a lot, I'm listening to some pretty good tunes as I go through this. If you happen to want to check out the tunes as well, I do have a public playlist that is up on. Whoops, I do got a public playlist here that's up on that I put up on the comment section. If you want to listen along and vibe as we go, it's pretty upbeat music. Um, I'm also not very used still. I've been doing this for a little bit, but I'm still not very used to the whole live stream thing. I'm not gonna lie, I'm social awkwardcy. I feel a little awkward talking to myself, so to speak. So if you guys want to join in the chat, say hi, feel free, get interactive with me. It makes it makes it better for me, better for you, better for this, better for that. That also, if you want to get involved with the community, I also have a Discord community. You can find that in the link below as well. My Discord community is a pretty tight knit group of people. We're all dedicated. We're basically just this group of people that like to hang out, develop software, chill, hang out, talk, do whatever. Like, come join if you like to hang out and do nothing. If you like to, if you ever need some help, you want to just drop a live question. My Discord community would be a great place to do that. Alright, let's check out our logs again. So there's 270 logs in the database. Let's go into our logs. And she's still crashing. Why are you crashing, dear? Alright. Cannot deserialize type of boneyard DTO from JSON value number. And what? Where did you shit the bed? Ah, okay. My bad, my bad. Alright, let's go ahead and rerun that. Live stream, people. Accidents happen. That's why there's an undo button. What's going on, Z? Welcome to the chat. Alright, now let's try this logs page again. Log me in. Haha, there's a lot of log. There we go. So now you'll see we have 270 logs, and this is only going to show me the first 50. Um, Now, let's go into here because we also... No, we don't. Okay. So we're going to jump into our server controller, and we're going to take... We're going to steal this little variable into the control, back in the controller of logs, and we're going to add that in here so that if we are, so that way with so this way here we can take this page number and actually pass it in here as a page equals now I'm curious if this works. Let's try this and see if it works. I love testing things and seeing if it works. It's like my love of programming is let's just test it and see if it works. Now in theory it should, but like let's face it, there's that thrill of does it work? Alright, so you'll see that this one here starts out with here from Dark Penguin and goes down to system messages about items expiring for pitch black. So now if we were to come up here and say page equals 1, we should essentially get the next 50 in the message queue. Let's go ahead and try that. And look at that! It worked! I love when shit works right off the cuff. But that's how paging works. If you've seen what we did there. So that now allows us to do this, and because we know the fact that there is 270, we can divide that by 50 and know that there's at least 5 pages. So I can come into here and say page 4, and we're still going to get some different results. If I ask it page 5, now we're getting the last of the results, which would again be items expirations, pitch black, disconnected. Apparently this should be known as a connection, but we see that Skrill's connected and then Skrill's disconnected. We can technically see that he was online for roughly 5 minutes. But that's the power of these logs. Excuse me. And this is one of the things I love about these logs. It's like, so the next thing that we're going to need to do is, I don't know if I want to add these at the top of the table or the bottom of the table. But I want to be able to add next page, previous page, so to speak. So, what do we do? All right, so let's go in here. We're going to go into our logs.html because this is the code for our logging space. So here you'll see total logs with this text. Yeah, I was thinking about the top and the bottom. I feel top and bottom would be best because it is a little bit of a scroll. So I'm gonna write in something right quick and stick in an attribute at the top. Just gonna keep it simple right now and just honestly just make it a little text in thing saying next page, previous page, because I just want to keep it simple. But this way, yeah, like you guys said, it'll give people the option to skip the page if they're on top and to be able to just do it at the bottom too if they've already scrolled to the bottom. Yeah, quality of life. So, how the hell did I do that previously? Alright, so we're going to steal this little reference here. Okay, now you're just getting fancy there, Z. How fucking fancy do you think this shit's gonna be? Nah, it's a pretty good idea. I think I'm gonna stick this on a break just because. Alright, so because I want to keep track of the specific page that we're on right now, so that way we can increment, decrement. Um, I'm gonna add in another. Um, Essentially, I'm gonna add in another variable. Um, or another model or attribute to the model. I'm just going to call this one page number or page num. And this is just going to take in the page variable, so that way we know what page it is that we are currently on. So now if we jump back in, oh, I'm going to copy that. That was page num. And we're going to jump back into our logs page. And this is going to be this of page num. Or technically, I wonder if I can do plus plus. I don't know if I can. Shit, how did I do that again? Yeah, that's. Mm, fuck me, okay. Mm, fuck me, how do I take that to Yeah, I'm not exactly an expert with time leaks, so just bear with me for a second here, because essentially I'm looking to. Um, So here I'm looking to do a inside of time lead. I'm looking to do an if statement. So if the page number or the current page number, um, if the current page number does not equal zero, or essentially it's greater than zero, then we want to add um, this attribute. But if not, we don't. Um, trying to remember how I did that. Into the header, we're doing so now basically um trying to think out how to word that. If what the hell did I call that current page? Per page. So if all right, so what I'm saying here is using the time leaf using the time leaf engine. If this statement is true, then do something. Otherwise, don't. So in this case, if we're using the hashtag to specify the type of thing that we're looking to check. In this case, it's a variable, so vars. Down here, it was a list because we wanted to be able to get like a size or get an element, or we wanted to work with a list. Up here, we're looking to work with variables. We want to tell it that we're looking to work with a integer variable because that's what we're passing in, and that's what it's going to more or less cast this to. And then we want to tell it if this variable is greater than 0. So if we are on page 1, then we want to be able to add a previous page. If we are otherwise, if we're already on page 0, the first, we don't want to offer to go to page negative because we're not asking them to close the book and look at the cover. We're asking them to go to the first page in this book of records. So let's go ahead and rerun the website. Let's go see if this works now. Let's see if this works now. Maybe we'll break something. We gotta fix shit. Woohoo, fix shit. I like to debug my work. Nah, debugging shit sucks, especially when you gotta rebuild. Alright, I'm too excited for this. Let's go. Something went wrong. Alright, what went wrong? Why are you not? That's not right. And I can't just straight up say... I don't think I can just straight up say that, because I don't think it take... I'm... The reason I went try to go through the bars is that I'm pretty sure that it doesn't take this in as an integer. Um, 'cause that's what I'm passing it, or maybe it's a long variable, but either way, I don't think it's taking it in as a number. I think it takes it in as a string. So that's why I tried to more or less cast it off to an integer variable. But whatever. Let's see. Okay. Let's go to the next page. Okay. Uh, so okay. So that needs to be that didn't work last time when I tried this. It didn't like that last time. Mainly because um, if it was something more like this, it would be acceptable. Um, I'm curious if it'll take that though. Oops. Logs, page ID, map previous, next. Whatever, I'll see if that works. Rerun the website. I'm not exactly confident that that works, but I'm pretty sure I gotta pass that as a parameter. Unless it takes that. I don't remember time leap enough to do that, but we're gonna find out. So, we're gonna start out by taking a look at... Okay. Okay, that... Like I said, I'm diabetic. Got this alarm going off now. Oop. Not exactly a good diabetic, but try. Just bear with me for one quick second, guys. I just need to do a little insulin. Try to combat that high. But when I come back from that, we're going to take a look at the um, I'm just gonna say fuck it. We're just gonna pull out the old Google. Oh no, I'm gonna ask my AI assistant. There we go. I forgot that IntelliJ has yeah. I'm gonna ask IntelliJ. Sorry guys. I don't like my insulin very much. Alright, so we're gonna ask our little AI assistant here. With Timely, how do I pass a param with a I don't know. See if I word that right. But okay, so now I tried that. No, I didn't. Okay, that's what's wrong. Thank you, AI. Okay, so now let's try that. We'll see how right the AI is now. Admin dashboard, logs. Look at that, next ID, but it says page ID down there. So we'll click on it just to go to it. Click on it. So this one says next page ID. This. Now, if we look back at our admin controller, we're looking for it to be just called page. I'm actually going to go ahead and call that ID. I'll be back in a second, guys. I just have to run off to the washroom yet again. Sorry about that, guys. Once again, if you happen to be a diabetic, you would understand the unfortunate high sugars means that your body is then going to try to flush itself out and essentially wash itself free of the high sugars. So um, unfortunately, that is where I lie. Not gonna page this. Survey. Okay, that's what I want. That list for something. This, I'm taking page ID up here. Straight up admin, I'm not taking anything. So yeah, admin logs, I want to take in a page ID and map it out as page. So that's the reason why I put name in here, because this is going to take whatever the name of the variable is that's going to be passed, or the parameter is that's passed in the URL. And it's going to then map it to, in our case, an integer that we're naming page, so that I can pass that in later on. So now if I was to rerun this, so we're going to rerun this bad boy, go back into our website, and what the hell, we're going to rerun that. Well, that got darker purple. Now, if we take away that slash and pass in the proper area, we'll now see that we have a next page and a previous page. So, let's take a look at what I did there that made that mess up. So into logs, yes, I left a slash. So we got to get rid of these slashes. And this should still, in theory, work the way that we're expecting it. So let's go ahead, rerun this yet again, and this is why we're live streaming this, because let's face it, development is not pretty. It's complex. It's a lot of rerunning, a lot of redoing things, relaunching things, testing things. Try this. Does it work? No. Okay. Try this. Does that work? No. Okay. Try this. Does that work? Yes. Whew, wait. What? Why? Okay, that works. Cool. So like, yeah. If you've been in the game for a while, you'll get that reference. You'll get that little joy. But it's not always just straight up going as you expect it. A lot of stuff that I write does, but that's mainly because I've got 20 plus years experience in this. I'm actually a senior developer. If it is what it is, I mean, I've been doing this for long enough. I've done a lot of this whole trial error. Plug this into here to try to cut the green wire, see what happens. Like, you know, take the red pill, the blue pill. Why not give me them both? Let's go. Let's see what happens. I've done a lot of the whole trial error and learn things the hard way because of just curiosity. Curiosity might have killed the cat, but information brought it back. So if you ever just wonder, does this work? Would this work? My advice as a senior developer: try it. See what happens. Try it. Document it. Worst case is you learn a way not to do something, but you still learn something. Don't let the question why make you not do something. If you have the question why, try it. Do it. You'll learn something. All right, so Back into our bug page. There we go. If you look down in the lower left-hand side there, you'll see that it's localhost/admin/manager/logs question mark page ID. So now we're passing the parameter properly. So if we go ahead and click next page, it's going to give us the next page, or the next page, or the next page, or the next page, or the next page. And now you'll see we're already on page 5. But yet, the next thing that we need to do is a check or an if statement on our next page, because we want to check to see if the next page, if the results in that list that are being passed are less than 50, don't offer the next page, right? So unless the current log list is equal to the size of the 50, we want to add the page. Now I say unless because that's the way that Timeleaf tends to word things. They use it in an if-unless statement, where us Java engineers know it as if-else then. So you'll see here, this one here, we have this div for an if. We're going to copy that, and I'm going to drop it down here, and we're actually going to call, and I'm, well, just going to do replace that. So this one is going to be unless, and basically I'm stealing this. So try to steal that. All right, so now what this is saying is that we're going to use the lists type, and we want to check the size of the log list. If this size happens to be equal to 50, so if it equals the size, unless the size is 50, we're going to add the next page button. So once we come to this final page, because we all know we have 270, so if we break that down into 50s, once we get to page 5, we're only going to have approximately 20 lists on there, or 20 logs listed in there. So we should not expect to see a next button on this page. So now we're going to go ahead and rerun the website. And I'm just going to reload this page just to make it simple. And if I reload this page, next page should disappear because there theoretically is no page 6 because we only have 20 results. So let's go ahead and refresh this page. Okay, well, if we go to the... what did I do there? Sorry. Okay, so now we're going to just check to see, because we're paging at 250, and actually, to make this a little bit less magic numbers, we're going to go into our server controller and into the... this is the log controller, into the admin controller and into our logs, and we're actually going to pass in another variable, which is going to be the page's default. We're going to be adding in the page's default value. Let's paste. Whoop. Um, size, and this is just going to be results. default size is going to be 50. So we're going to come into here, we're adding a model, we're requesting a parameter, and we're requesting another parameter. Um, so now I'm just adding in a variable for max results so that I can copy that, go into logs, and now I can say in here max results, which believe I believe I believe I have to wrap that in here. So let's take another restart, see if we get an error. There we go, it's loaded. So let's refresh this page. Oops, something went wrong. What went wrong? Okay. I wasn't sure if I could actually label it like that or if I could label it like this. I'm just so used to like labeling this. Yeah. Um, okay, so now if we hit next page, this one doesn't have, there we go, perfect. So this one doesn't have 50 results, so it no longer has the page for its page. So we can now go back and forth all the way back to page 1. Cool. So now we need to make this a little bit cleaner. There we go. Except now. I got all that table out there. That's the fucking one it's using. Okay. Because this is only going to be the wrapper for the paging. CSS style wrapper. Alright, so now those are going to be spaced fine. I'm going to copy that. And we're going to go down beneath the table and drop it beneath there. No, that's going to get bigger and better. Alright, so we're going to do some more magic. Because I don't want to have to rewrite this div and rewrite, 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 rewrite. We're going to go into fragments, admin, make a new HTML. Maybe I won't put this there. I'll put it in fragments. HTML, we'll call this underscore table paging. Add this, come into here. Head, body. So what I'm doing here, for those of you that are interested, is I'm making a new element that we can reuse. This is going to be sort of like creating a functional interface in Java or creating an object in Java that you can then call and replace and use and use time again. This is one of the things why I love TimeLeaf, because I can now build this one object that I'm going to do, which is going to be the table paging section, which this class here is strictly going to let me just I'm forgetting what the hell I'm doing here now. The body, I want the fragment, and then div. Okay, yeah. So I want the fragment. Um, I forget where the hell that fragment ends. Yeah, that fragment ends with all of this shit inside of it. So drop that down. Just for my own sake, we're going to space that out. Now I'm going to call this one here table page paging, whatever. We're just going to call this table paging for now. Sure, why not, right? Cool. So we're going to go back into our logs, and where we have this little wrapper, we're going to steal this and drop it in here. And now this, we're going to come back in here. Back into admin. So now into table logs. So now inside of table logs, where we're adding, where we have this div, we can just drop in here. We're gonna call this table paging, and this is going to be table paging. So now I'm going to copy this div that I just wrote, and we're going to go directly beneath the table, and we're going to drop that div again. So now what this does is allows me to rewrite this code in one single place, and I can reuse it on these tables. I can reuse it on other tables. I can build it out to be a little more dynamic if I want to. Like, I can come in here and maybe I want to change up maybe where these, oops, maybe I want to pass in better parameters like a URL maybe, or like a, or something where I can make this a little bit more dynamic. But for the time being, let's go ahead and rerun this. The only thing I'm worried about mixing up here is the max results. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to see that, if that's going to pass in or not. Same thing with the logs. A little iffy on if those are going to get picked up. But let's go ahead and refresh the page and see what happens. Look at this. Next page, previous page. If we're down at the bottom, next page, previous page. It worked! Don't you just love when things work when you first do them and write them? Isn't that great? Perks of experience. Had I been a noob trying to figure out, how do I add this? How do I add that? This would have been a large file. But because the fact that I can copy and reuse those models or fragments as as TimeLeaf refers to them, I can just simply ask it to replace a div with a specific fragment, and it basically swaps that out for me. It is one of the coolest motherfucking things that I have ever seen in HTML. TimeLeaf just blows my mind. And if you guys want to see a video on TimeLeaf, get a little more into it, maybe talk about how I can pass Pojo models into it, or how I can pass in just a regular Java object in and do shit. How you're able to pass things to. If you want a video on it, let me know, please. Like, I would be more than happy to make any kind of video that you guys want to see. I noticed that there's only one person who's actually actively watching. Oh, two people that are actively watching this right now. I do want to thank you guys for sticking around this far. It's been like an hour, a little over an hour now that we've been chatting, or I've been chatting. So, like, if you guys have been enjoying this, please hit that thumbs up. Let me know that it's good. All right. So now we've got a decent page, and we can come by. Let's go to the next page, jump us over. And again, cool, we can see that Pitch Black made a chat message. Where is your god? I can see you. Alright, Pitch Black, this is just going to be a shout out to you. I love you. Alright, dude. Also, I see Mod Z was on here. The system had an item expiring. So now, item expiring, what that means is that it's something that I'm logging, but it's something that's part of my part of the way that my economy service is going to pull from the logs. It's going to pull all logs that were of an item expiration type, because it tells me the item ID, the place it was dropped, and if it happens to say that it was dropped by null, then that just means that an NPC had dropped the item, and that it was never picked up, and it just left the economy. So those are items that I, for example, won't be using, because I have this back-end economy service that we're gonna get to, and you guys are gonna probably be really impressed with this part. But I have this back-end economy service where it checks and scans and screens all these different analytics, and it allows me to know how many items are in the economy, how many people have what in what inventories. It lets me know that what items are being traded for, what the value of those items are being traded for, because everything in my game has a base value built into the actual cache layer. So, like, within the cache itself, every item has a value. That is the default value, as if there was only one item in the economy. So my system has a way of tracking when items get added to the economy, And by added to, I would mean like an NPC drops it and a player picks it up, it's in the economy. If the NPC drops it and it's never picked up, it's never been in the economy. Um, so it keeps track of all the items that are picked up, so I know all of the amounts of items that are in the economy, as well as they have their base value. And I use just some quick math to basically say, okay, all of these divided by their base value is what this is. But if some have been sold for a different price, different there, that alters the base price of one of these or two of these. Um, and thus it allows for a more flexible economy. That way, um, it allows me to give a more flexible economy in that it allows players to sell items for a different, like if I'm introducing something that I'm saying is worth like 500k, 500,000 GP, maybe my players feel like it's worth more than that, so they start selling it for like 1, 2 million, maybe start selling it for billions. It's going to look at how many are in the economy and the base value of said item. But once an item is in the economy, um, I have other tools that keep track of the uh, the values of those items so that while they're in the economy, they have a value base to them, whether it's the default value or this custom value. The custom value being what it was sold or traded for. And I could sit here all day and talk about how complex it is, but it keeps track of all sorts of things. Whether you craft an item, if you craft, say, an item, then it's going to, if you kill the cow, pick up the hide, it adds a hide into the economy. But if you tan it, it removes the cow hide and it introduces a leather or hard leather or whatever you need. And then when you craft it with thread and needle, say, it's going to take that old one out of the economy, introduce a new item into the economy, and so forth. And that's how I track things that are being crafted and added versus being player killed and added versus traded and added versus things that are spawned. And that way, if an item was spawned into the game, that item is sort of ignored in the economy scan. So they're um, because the only way to only way to add items in is for an admin to spawn them, and administrators cannot pass items from one person to another. Only the owner can do that, myself, um, or my wife. However, for the sake of maintaining for the sake of maintaining a proper economy, I wanted to come up with something unique that was truly flexible. I didn't want to go ahead with the stereotypical thing that people do with like a marketplace or like a grand exchange thing to keep track of it. I wanted to build something that was 100% flexible, something that was scalable, something that the players owned. Because I give items a default value in the cache when I add them in, and trust me, it took me days to go through and check. I had to actually write myself a script to run through the entire item database that's in there and check to see if anything was missing a value. And if it was missing a value, I had another script ran that scraped the wiki for the current price of an item, and then I saved that to a text file so I could use it to manually go into the cache and edit the items. Because that would tell me that item ID this is worth this because there was no value already stored in the cache. So then I would go in and I would manually write in these numbers, and it was a process, let me tell you. Ho ho ho. If only I could have wrote a way to automatically import those numbers, that would have been so much faster. Because there was a couple of thousand items that did not have an actual value. So there's a lot of coffee drank that day. Um, but now this here is part of our logging system, so you'll see that we can now essentially check our players. We can look up see our player information. I'm going to add more information to that profile page later. But for now, I can see my players that are registered. And right now, it's only accepting players that have used the register button in the upper corner. It's not importing data from my players players yet. I'm going to be introducing a way later to post the. If we look at the game server code, um, in here, if we look at game model entities, we take a look at the player. Yeah, here's where we're sending a disconnect log, posting that off to our backend. Um, Somewhere in here, saving the player, setting their status as offline for social circles, updating quests, trade post update, skill tree network update data. Okay, so that's the high score, update the world, blah 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 blah. They're fully disconnected. In there, no. No, I don't. So I'm updating the player's profile somewhere. There it is. This is where I'm posting the world update to the back end, which right now is not the URL that I'm passing into this one because we're updating the services. I'm actually going to be using proper API API URLs, URLs. You'll hear me say that interchangeably. They're basically the same damn thing. Um, but we're going to rewrite the way that we're making these calls and handling these calls and cleaning up the way that we're using these player network interfaces when I should have been calling them network clients because technically they're the essential HTTP client wrapper that makes the post get requests to the back end. Um, but once we have our backend services finished and all of our backend services have then been exported from the monolith to the microservices, and we wrap all that up, then we're going to come and take a dive into the into the client the server that you're looking at now, which is the game server. We're going to be taking a real deep run through this code and fixing up anywhere that's making HTTP requests to our backend. We're going to clean up the HTTP request clients that we're using because right now this is god awful and I don't even like looking at it. We're going to introduce we're going to introduce um, God, there's so much work that I need to do to this. Um, we're going to try to introduce Spring into the web server or into the game server so that I can um, essentially start using a REST client to start making simpler and more clean get post requests or HTTP requests. Um, if by some reason I can't get Spring 3.2 to work with this because my Java base right now is 11, and I'm kind of pooched on that one because I'm stuck there due to the um, compiler that I'm using, or not the compiler, the multi-threader that I decided to use. Um, this was before I discovered that Java 21 has a structured way of doing multi-threading, and Spring Boot also introduced a thing in Spring 3 called virtual threads, which essentially cuts down a lot of multi-threading. And I'm essentially using a library that does all this for me. Like it's a service that does all of the multi-threading and the handling and the building and the synchronizations so that I don't have to worry about it. But I'm getting to the point that I I feel very restricted in what I'm using with that. So I feel like I have to upgrade it or get rid of it, one of the two. So we're going to go through the process of looking at how I'm handling events, and we're going to try to phase away from that multi-threaded event handler into a more modernized Java 21 styled way of processing, handling, executing these events and threads. I'm going to make a proper thread weaver that's going to manage all of these interconnected threads so that everything goes off without a hitch, as so that way that we can properly take care of using multi-threading and virtual threads to make some of these external calls. Because where it's very effective to use regular threads, if we start using these virtual threads, it's not going to cost us any processing power to make simple executions. Like if a player wants to make a, if I want to make a command where a player wants to check and see, say, I don't know if I don't have this, but let's say I had webmail up and working so that I can send players webmail like Jagex does. Um, or like major game companies do when they want to send somebody an internal message. Let's say I wanted a way to um, do that and notify them. It would essentially mean that when they log in, I could spin up a virtual thread to kick off and go check a um, a message broker for any sort of notifications, and it would do so without the need of taking up um, any major resources or any sort of like real production issues. Let's say we'll talk about that as an example of um, a major company. Major company has your boss that runs everything, which would be like your main CPU. Now, the different cores that help said CPU run and run smoothly would be the different managers that are inside of said um, or said company. And um, now there's only a fixed amount of employees that are in there, but all of those could do things like multi-thread, and essentially they have a smaller team of people that can run around and do some of the work for said manager or for said thread. Now, having virtual threads is like, imagine each of those workers have their own um, interns at their own disposal, where they can just ask any intern to just, hey, go and run do this so that I don't have to do this and I can keep staying at what I'm doing. Or like if you're in a software company, it's like you have a senior developer who takes care of more serious projects and designs, and they have developers under them that they delegate some work to, but then the work that really doesn't need to get like prioritized done, but is like sort of simple enough to get done, you sort of delegate off to your like junior developers or your interns. Well, that's sort of like having virtual threads to sort of delegate off some of that extra workload that's not really that needs to get done, but you don't want to you don't want to slow up production or bottleneck production of the main or the more or the more like um, hard threads. So my idea here is that I want to get this project away from my current multi-threading weaver into Java 21 so that I can introduce Spring 3.2 so that I can then start taking advantage of multi-threading in a different way, in a more modern way, um, because currently I'm doing it in a very outdated way. I'm using Java 11. Like I want to get that up to 21, get my spring introduced and get it up to 3.2, maybe 3.21. I'm not sure yet. I haven't looked at 3.21 yet, so I don't really know what the difference is. But for now, I want to get it to at least 3.2 and at least 21 so I can use some more modernized code bases and some more modernized algorithms because 21 has finally brought and I know it's not it's been around for a little bit now, but like it's finally brought Java up to par with other languages like C Sharp, C plus, and all those as far as being native languages. And Java used to struggle with that because of the fact that it wasn't a native language. It doesn't write things into a native language. It writes it into a transparent. It writes it into a middle language that the JVM then takes care of the native languages. And so, for a lot of reasons, for a long time, there's been a lot of problems with how Java handled things because it was trying to be fit for this one size fits all 32, 64-bit processors that handle and don't handle multi-threading, and it was designed in such a weird way that now that things have gone to a more modern streamline and that I believe they dropped the 32-bit support, they've gone into more memory allocations so that they have been able to access they've been able to just improve the Java language in ways that I don't know. I've been around Java now since Java 4, Java 5, Java 3, somewhere around there. I came in at a really early stage, and like I don't know. I've seen a lot. I've been around a lot. I've tried a lot. I've done a lot. I've blew my mind when lambdas were a thing. Blew my mind when switches became an expression thing, and like now they've gone ahead and they've done more. So I want to take advantage of that because 3 years ago that wasn't a thing. I didn't; those weren't available, so I had to use a different type of library that was available to me. But unfortunately, due to the fact that it wasn't really a mainstream library, but it was sort of this niche little library that I wanted to use to handle all sorts of threads because I didn't want to write my own weaver, so I used the publicly available one. Um, that was that was a mistake. So I built on top of this. Basically, I built on top of that for 3 years, and now I'm to the point that I can't expand to a better language because the tool that I was using has been deprecated and the development team no longer write it. So now it's stuck on Java 11 as its highest revision. Um, so good fight, right? Um, which wasn't really a big deal with me at the time because I thought, oh, whatever, it works. But then I myself moved away from 11 and I started moving into more 17 for a couple of years. And then I moved to 21, I don't know, a few months ago. And it's been such a beautiful language to write with that I hate my old code because I can't upgrade it to this better code. One day, though, I'm going to task my junior dev Z to fix that for me. I just don't want to put the effort into it. Shout out to you, Z, if you're still listening. Um, all right, so I now have, so I need to look at a way to, this is how essentially my players update their profile. So whenever they log out, um, this will get sent, which puts a post request to the old back end universe logins players update. Da, 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 da. Okay, and pull this over here, and that goes into universe worlds service universe world controller. Yeah, universe worlds world controller world or this world updates. Oh, universe login player logins players update. Yeah. There's the logout. There's the update. Create. There it is. Login. So this is the player's login service, which is essentially going to become our player's profile service when they log into the world, when they log out of the world, throughout their process and throughout their time being on the throughout their time on the server, because every 30 seconds or so I make a local save, which essentially saves the player's file to a JSON file, basically, and then roughly every 5-10 minutes or so, I forget what I used, I have another service that runs and it takes all of those JSON files and it maps them into a player profile DTO, which then it fires off to my backend to update them, which is this bit here. My backend will make a post request to here, and pass in the player profile DTO, so that way when a player logs in, um, it looks to request to see if that player exists first off. Um, I believe I use that, and I use it as kind of a way to get the response back as a body, which is the profile itself. When I log out, I'm looking to more or less post the body to the logout, and we're going to be cleaning this up because of the way that I'm passing these are through request things, through request parameters, and I don't like that because it makes this big bulky URL. Instead, I want to get these and I want to put them inside of the header so that they're kind of inside that package that comes through the request, versus putting them inside of the path variable. Um, Sort of like how I'm passing the API key, I want to just pass in the world key and the world ID because that makes it easier. Honestly, for me, it makes it cleaner, and yeah, because I want people to be able to make a request to the said uh, endpoint, but then define whether it's post, get, update, put, whatever. Um, because this is ugly. This is ugly as hell. The way this goes through is ugly, and we're gonna get this cleaned up when we go through our player services. Player services might be the next thing that I go through because I want to start to log the different player interactions and their profiles, so that way, because launch is coming up soon for me. Like I know that uh, I'm planning on launching my server on the 25th, and I want to make sure that a few things are set up ahead of time. So I want to make sure my profile service is up and running, my Discord service is up and running, because I want players to be able to be in my Discord server, which I don't have linked to here. But like if you're interested, send me a message, let me know, and I'll invite you. But like when Boneyard launches, or before Boneyard launches, I want players to be able to go into my Discord and be like /register, and then have a form model pop up asking, okay, what's your username and password you want to use? Submit that, and it's going to go in the background and check, okay, does this user exist? No. All right, make them a profile. Else, it's going to send back a message to Discord saying, okay, well, that name's already taken. Please choose a different one. Very simple. Then we're going to basically build them a profile for the profile service and save that as a new player's profile, so that come time for launch, when people go to play the game, by default, it's going to make a request to fetch the user and verify it through its credentials. And uh, that's going to be how my login flow is going to work too. So the closer we get to my release, the more of that that's going to be coming, because we'll be going into the so if we go into my servers, there's a network process, there's decoders. My login decoder currently comes through and uh, somewhere down the line returns login info. Might not be decoder. Somewhere in here, I've got ways of making a request out to login verification. There we go. So in my login verification sort of stage, when it's trying to authorize the player, um, it goes through and logs a few things, checks a few things, but then it comes down and takes the username. It requests a unique session ID for said user, and then I'd assign them some groups. But I also then fetch their Discord user profile, which is just how I'm logging them. The Discord user profile is just a Discord and a username. It's a way that I can bridge that connection so that I can message people or do interactions with people and their player game. But if they, so long as this is not null, we're gonna grab some web services. So I'm gonna grab their access from their Discord role. So what that means is that if I log in, for example, it's gonna notice that one of my roles is owner. So it's then going to take that and assign me an owner role when I log into game. It's also going to notice that I'm an admin, I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah blah blah, and it's going to assign those. But it's also going to notice whether a player is a mythical player, a donator, whether they are a beta tester, whether they're this, they're that, or the other thing. I can check their roles and assign their accesses here. So then I format that access and I come through and I break that up, I split it because it comes through in a specific way, and I then start assigning those. I map those. Uh, okay, so I take the string of roles, which is essentially like a number colon, like it's just whatever. It's a number colon something, number colon colon colon, and so I then break that. I split that up here. I take the access and I split it at the colon. So then I have basically a string array of byte numbers. I then take that role and I stream it in. I map each of those as a byte.parse, which essentially takes in a string and parses a byte. And then for each of those group IDs, as I'm now calling them, I'm going to add those um, to the group IDs up here. So essentially, I'm breaking that down and mapping it to a byte array um, or a byte list, which by first I add them to registered. So by default, they have a role, they're a registered user. Um, and then I come down and I fetch their roles, because when I fetch their roles, if we look at back end, or actually I think I have this on, I think I have this in here in the profile, player groups. So these are the groups, the IDs, whether it be this, that, or the other thing, they're all going to correspond with here. Um, they correspond with the number in the enumeration in relation to it. So like owner is 0, developer is 1, and it would use that inside of profile, controller, player profile, register. No, not there. Maybe it's the Discord. Yeah, so here's how it creates, where it goes to create a profile. This is where it returns a user. Um, and this is where it gets the accesses. So when I make a post request or a get request here, it's going to then fetch the Discord roles, which essentially comes in here, takes the ID of the Discord user, and I'm then going to grab the Discord guild from my backend system. I'm then going to take the member and I'm going to say, okay, from the Boneyard Guild, get the member by this ID. And so long as that member is not null, I then want to take the member and get a list of their roles. So I want to get all the roles this member has. From there, I have a switch. Here so that we're going to run over each of these roles. And if the role's name to lowercase is owner or co-owner, then the group ID, the string, is then equal to group IDs, the current string, dot concat. So then we're going to stick on the owner.id, so in that case, 0, and we're going to stick a colon on the end of that. So now I've got a string that comes back as 0 colon. And I look through again, okay, glad it's also a developer, so we're going to stick developer on there. So now I've got 0 colon 1 colon. And you can see how that goes through, and that's how I basically assign um, all of my roles here when my players log in. So this is how I fetch their information. It's also how I'm able to verify if the user is verified and if they have the beta tester role. It's how I'm able to lock down my game world so that, first off, you need to be verified in order to access my developer's world, and you need to also be a beta tester in order to access my world. So I'm able to then lock down worlds. Like, for example, I'm able to make a um, if I was to buy another VPS, for example, I could spin up another world, lock it down to beta testers and staff, so that way it's a 24-hour hosted server, but only my beta testers and staff are people who can access it, and that allows me to do other things in there as well. But yeah, um, I can sit here and like ramble on about my server all day and how I wrote it, what's like how different systems work in it, but I won't bore you with that on this live stream unless you really want me to. Let's try to jump back on task a little more. So I now have a way to run through the different pages. Um, I'm not sure how I feel about. See, I don't like the text necessarily. Um, I feel like this is missing something, but I don't know what. Um, I feel like I may want to tell them what page we're on. Um, yeah, maybe add in a way, I guess, to tell them what page we're on. Maybe, um, I wonder, what did I do with that? Let's try something. Um, and size equals 25. So apparently that doesn't work. Hmm. Not that I think that's going to make any row beans difference, but let's rerun the website. Come back up into here. See if I can take that away. I'm going to make that a size of 5 just because I want to see if that works. And apparently, definitely not 5. Yeah. So that doesn't seem to work. Well, maybe if I use the right words. Still not. Hmm. So what I just did there, if you're curious, was I did notice that I was taking in the results, page size results, whatever I'm calling it. Um, but I never actually assigned it to anything other than just max results. Which, if we're looking at the actual max results, if we go into admin logs, um, I'm not actually using max. I'm not actually using that max results anywhere other than table pending. I'm using it here. Um, so now this should also uh, holy shit. This guy just came crawling in out of the rain. The wolf. This guy. Yeah. You should soak it. Oh my god. He is soaking wet. Ah, ah. Oh god. I love that wolf. He makes me so happy. That motherfucker is so wet. Oh, dude. No, get out of the garbage. There's no jerky for you. Trying to steal my empty bags of jerky. Don't shake next to me. Oh my god, I just got a shower. Oh no, the floor is soaked. For all of you dog lovers out there, if you've ever had your dog come out of the rain, walk through the house, wait till he comes up next to you, looks all lovey-dovey, waits till you stop paying attention to him, and then shakes, hit that thumbs up. I just got the dog shower. All right. So now if we jump back to our website, we log in. Oh, yes, and it works. So you'll see that now that we are passing in a page size result of 5, we're actually getting just 5 back. Um, I do need to continue that with our other links because I want to continue. If you're looking for the specific result, I want, if you're passing it, I want to pass it. But yeah, because right now if I was to hit this, it's going to give me the 50 results. Right now, if I go to this, it would do that unless I came in here and specifically said and results. Results equal, I don't know, 10. So that's a change that we have to make. And we do that right here. Okay, let's try this. We'll see if this makes sense, because in my head, it makes sense. But in my head, a lot of shit makes sense that don't make sense in reality. So let's see if this works out. So we're going to say here, this is the page ID outside of the brackets. Then we're going to stick in an and, which I don't know if it's going to work. Results equal, sorry, and we got to do this, and results equal doodle-doo, max results. I don't know if I do it just like this, if it's gonna pass it in twice or not. But guess what? I'm gonna try it. Alright, so now we're gonna rerun this. There we go. Back up to our page. Results 10, read log, here we go. So this gives us 10. And now if we hover over next page, apparently it did not take that as... Okay, so let's go back to our AI. How can I pass in RAM? Oh, okay, cool. Apparently that was just easy. Did I read that right? Is that too easy? Shit was too easy. Alright, so refresh this. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Look at that. Alright, so page 3 results. Page 4 results. There we go. That easy. Wasn't that fun? I know, I had a lot of fun. So, that is how we now continue along with this. Now, I'm still not 100% happy with the way this looks. I almost feel like I wish these were buttons. But like, where'd that go? Come on over here. Okay, that looks a little better actually. I think that looks better with it just sitting on top than I do with okay, so I should take that out of the I should take that pixel padding out. Um trying to see if I could find some padding on that. Apparently I can't go into it, get to it. But the table has some sort of a padding. Alright, well, just to keep on top with the typical... There it is. Found it. Okay, so we'll have to override that. Alright, so, I'm gonna change the CSS up tonight. I just happen to think that that looks a little cleaner, on this, with just keeping the buttons, if you will, on top of there. Now, um, I may or may not be back later on tonight to continue this, because there is some stuff that I want to finish up with it, but, this has been going on for about 2 hours, and I'm trying my best to keep these going at roughly the 2 hour mark. So I'm gonna cut this one off here. If you've been with me this far, thank you very much. If you've uh, if you've learned something, then go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to be notified when I go ahead and do another live stream, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you'll get notified when I start. Turn on that little bell button, and little goblins will go ahead and make sure that you get fully notified. So it's been a whole lot of fun. Hell, I learned a couple things myself. I hope you learned things. If you've enjoyed this, you've enjoyed my little project here of tackling the monolithic applications and busting them down into services. Awesome. Thumbs up to you. Let's next time we come back, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to add a couple more of pages to we're going to add a couple more of paging options to our bug log. We're basically just going to copy and paste the same idea we did, but put it in for bugs, and I'm going to show you how we can make that a little bit more, how we can take take this controller here, and we're going to have other parameters because we're going to be using we're going to copy this for the bugs as well. So we're basically going to be passing in a way to change out this parameter word from logs to bugs or whatever it is that we pass, because I'm probably going to use this for items and my players, and I'm going to be reusing this for probably quite a few things to add that next and previous page options to the thing. So stick around if you want to learn how to do HTML in an object-oriented way. When we come back, we're going to dive into cleaning this up. We're going to maybe change it out from a string that we have that is the clickable link to maybe a button for next and previous, just for the sake of making it a little more user-friendly, I suppose. Again, I'm not a front-end developer. I'm primarily a back-end network developer. But, like, I don't know, I'm trying on the front end. I'm learning some things. So this has been a lot of fun, and I hope to see you, or hope to chat with you in the next live stream. If I do come back for this tonight, it will most likely be around 9 o'clock Eastern that I start, potentially 10 o'clock Eastern. That's partly why I am the midnight coder. All right, so from the fat bastard himself and me, keep that coffee cup full, keep your curiosity open, and just code for the sake of coding. It's a lot of fun. Whenever you code, just keep your skills sharp. What do you think, buddy? All right, guys. It's been a lot of fun. Have a great evening, and hope to see you in the next one.